Students, this lecture is just to update you on how to draw an audience and how to draw a section which responds to the different needs like the well hearing and good visibility. So let's imagine that this is our stage here, and this dimension here, the elevation of the stage above the first floor, the first rows on the floor, can be different, but usually it ranges from 50 centimeters to 1 meter. Uh, we stick to 50, 60 centimeters. We don't want to go higher. Although height of the audience allows us to have musicians sing better, but we want to have a good contact of the audience with the musicians. This is why this elevation here is more or less like that. The next part is to decide what you want to see on the auditorium. If it's the shoes of the actor, then we want to see the edge of the stage. So this is our point. If we are on the orchestra, then about 1 meter from the edge, we need the elevation of about 40 centimeters because we want to see instruments. This is the point for orchestra performance. And then if it's an auditorium, an audience for some conference spaces, then of course this distance can be larger. It comes even up to 3 meters. And probably what we want to see is the podium and the speaker. So the point is about uh, elevated about 70 centimeters from the stage, from the floor of the stage. If it's a cinema, if it's a movie theater, then what we are interested in is the corner of the screen, and of course the screen can be hanged on different heights. So let's imagine that this is the 70 centimeters. So this is the point which we want to see, and usually the screen is a little bit distanced. So we have this area of about 500 centimeters from the audience. So that would be the screen. So so the first thing is just to think about which point I want to see. The next thing is the seating, and we assume always that the first seating is on the floor. So this is the first seat here. And just to simplify, we say that the head of the viewer is on the edge of the first step. So the head of the viewer is always at the height of 1.20 m. So this is for meter, not centimeter, or we can keep it in centimeters. So 120 centimeters, and this is the head because it's always sitting position. So the head has eyes more or less in the middle. Of course, we know it's not true for every people, and we say that this distance between the eye and the forehead is 12 centimeters. Of course, we can imagine that people have different hairdos, so for simplifying and for better visibility, we always try to keep this 15 centimeters of height uh, for additional purposes. But we assume for the measurements here, we assume 12 centimeters for the radius of the head. So of course the first person ought to basically see, I'm just gonna switch to a different color, ought to basically see the point that we want the person to view, depending on a situation. So the next thing is the next row. So first I will just show you the most typical, the most characteristic section. So we raise the first row 15 centimeters. What is the distance here? We should have the passage of at least 2 meters in that space. So the first step is 15 centimeters, and the distance for these rows vary. As you remember from the lectures about the evacuation, it can start up from 90 centimeters and come up to 1 meter 10. So it's depending on what is your assumption here. Of course, the closer people are to the stage, the better they hear, the better direct sound they have. So the next person is sitting exactly the same. So the person has eyes in that distance of 12 centimeters. So we just check the point. Of course, it depends on which point we've selected. So as you can see, 15 centimeters for the point at the edge of the stage is already too little. But for the distance of 40 centimeters, it's okay. And I can, if it's an orchestra, then I can continue using this 15 centimeters. If the visibility line to the point cuts the radius of the head, cuts the circles from the radius of the head, then we require this additional height. So the next height that I am using is the height of 30 centimeters. Um, of course, if it would be a theater and I wanted to see this point with this graph, I would make all the steps 30 centimeters. If it's a concert hall, then I'm starting the steps for 30 centimeters in the situation where the head cuts the radius. Why 30 centimeters? Because it's always easy to draw a step for people for moving in the communication zones by 15 centimeters, right? So then I'm just adding this 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, and I'm going through until again my head cuts the radius again. And in that situation, I am using 45 centimeters because then I have two steps of 15 centimeters. So every time the user uses the steps, can always, the legs basically know that you are always at the proper height. There are, of course, other methods for creating the auditoriums, but that's a very simple one. It also allows us to keep all the steps of the same height between the rows. So that's another thing that is very comfortable for everybody. So this is the method that I'm recommending you for our classes. So I hope this lecture helps you to draw your sections. Good luck.